y'all, and welcome to this. And for everyone that hates my long videos, well, guess what? You're going to get a short video because I got to do a direct cam upload, and because it's a direct cam upload means that I think I can only go 10 minutes still, which kind of sucks. But anyways, there we go. So I'm going to kind of go through this. This is my Wrestlemania, the actual review, so I'm going to try to go through it pretty quickly. I've been asked a lot of questions, particularly about the crowd. The crowd seemed dead. I will say the crowd wasn't as dead as it seemed. Even though watching on TV, I was kind of surprised, but I think that had a lot to do with the fact of how big the stadium was. I don't think the stadium really amplified crowd noise very well. Just from being there, you know, last year I was sitting about the same distance as I was last year from the ring, and you could hear the ring bumps last year. You couldn't hear the ring bumps this year, so I think that kind of illustrates the point. But um, because I know I will talk a lot about different things, let's just start off with all of this so I'm not rambling for too long. We started with The Miz and Big Show versus John Morrison and R-Truth. It was not very good, only because it wasn't given enough time. I did like the fact that it ended on the punch, and they've set the punch up for over a year now, so that part of it made sense. At least it made sense of why it went kind of short, so I was fine with that part of it. And this wasn't a match anyone really cared for anyways, so I can forgive them for that. Then we had Randy Orton, Ted DiBiase, Cody Rhodes. I thought this match was so much better than I had any hope of being. I thought it was pretty good. I wouldn't say good, but I thought it was pretty good. The fans were definitely into Randy Orton. Randy Orton is officially a face, even though, you know, by the time you guys see this, you know this. But watching it, even watching a replay of it, I thought that that was definitely the case. You know, did he bury Ted and Cody? Maybe, but, you know, they'd already been buried, so it is what it is. And hey, you know, I mean, no one really cared about this anyways, and that's why they didn't care about it anyways, because Ted and Cody were already made to look like fools, so you weren't really doing anything you hadn't already done, so I was fine with that. Money in the Bank I thought was pretty good, or very good, I should say. We didn't get, you know, a crazy Kofi spot. I think that's what was really missing from this, is probably one crazy Kofi Scott spot. Shelton spot. I think you were missing one crazy Shelton spot. I think this would have made this match great. Probably would have made this pay-per-view a whole lot better. But was still very good in my opinion. The stilt spot was about the most creative thing I've seen in a long time. And we got the shooting star press from Evan Bourne. You know, Christian and Matt Hardy, I think, did enough to really make this really good. So there you go. Triple H and Sheamus, I didn't like this as much as some people did. I really felt like it was just an okay match with Triple H going over who didn't need to go over. I really felt going into the Sheamus either had to go over, or that Triple H had to make him look really good or made him look great. And I don't think either of those two things were accomplished. So it's like, why did we do this? Particularly after, you know, the promo he said, which was an awesome promo about if you beat me at WrestleMania, then you become a superstar. If you don't beat me at WrestleMania, you become like an also ran or a never will be. And I think that then you have him lose at WrestleMania. So, and this is the guy you're supposed to be pushing up. Even if I don't think he's the guy you should be pushing up, you know, the fact is you're pushing him up. You need to put everything you can behind him. So there you go. Rey Mysterio versus Punk definitely didn't get as much time as it should have, in my opinion. There's no question about that. This match should have gotten far more time. Unfortunately, Bret and Vince probably took a lot of time from this. I think if it had gone just another 5 minutes, I think this would have been a great match. And that's saying something. These two guys went out there given 5 to 6 minutes and pulled off, you know, was about as perfect can be, in my opinion. And really great stuff, and really is a accomplishment for both of them. So, you know, and this is probably my one biggest complaint about this pay-per-view, because there were so many people there. You could tell to see Rey, and to only see him for 5 minutes, I think, was a complete letdown. So there you go. And even watching it, I kind of felt the same way. Then we got Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon. Absolutely horrible. I gave it a negative star because I think if the 5 minutes that this could have given Rey and Punk, I think they would have gotten to 4 stars. So I'm giving it negative for that very reason. A lot of people said no rating or whatever, but this went on far too long. It was just garbage, and ugh. And if the rumors about what they were trying to accomplish was true, that's even dumber, and it deserves even more negative stars than that. Then we got Chris Jericho versus Edge. I like this a lot. I probably like this more than a lot of people did. I like the counters. The finish, you know, Chris Jericho won, but I really felt like after the spear that Jack Swagger should have came out, cashed in right then and there. That would have made a lot of sense. We didn't get that, so who cares. Then we got Michelle McCool, Maryse, Layla, Alicia Fox, Vickie Guerrero versus Mickie James, Kelly, Eve, Gail, Kim, and Beth Phoenix. Basically, this turned into all of the divas basically hitting their finishers on each other. I was fine with that. You know, I gave it a star. I did think that the Vickie Guerrero climbing to the top and doing the shimmy and trying to do the frog splash was pretty funny, and I did like that, and so thumbs up for that part of the match. Then we got John Cena versus Batista live. This was amazing. I'm not even gonna lie. I thought this was one of the best matches of the weekend live, and still one of the better matches of the weekend. But I still think it was a great match. Would say amazing, but I still think it was a great match. And you know, just the kicking out of finishers. The crowd was very much into it. You know, they were kicking out of finishers to build to something, and then they finished it when they should have finished it, which is always such a good and wonderful thing, even though we don't always get to see that. Then we got to the event, to what really probably was the match that I think everyone turned in to watch. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, streak versus career. Amazing. I marked out for this more than I did last year's match, which is saying something. 5 stars, easy. The end of this match, to me, was amazing, where they did the play off the Flair thing. On top of that, you had, you know, and I know some people have complained because it seemed a little sloppy. I'm willing to look past the sloppiness because, A, you had some actual psychology going on with Undertaker's leg, with Shawn's arm. Even I saw some people complain about the moonsault, missing Undertaker and hitting his legs. Well, that played into the story, even if it was a miss. Um, and the announcers actually did a pretty good job, even though the announcing on this pay-per-view was horrible. So there was that. And overall, I just thought it was really good. I mean, yeah, they were kicking out of finishers and kicking out of finishers, but the crowd was buying it. I was marked out just as much watching it again as I did the first time being there live. So what does that tell you? So there's that. That's my review. I know not everyone will agree with everything, but hey, overall, I give the pay-per-view a 8. I mean, it was a 4-hour pay-per-view. I think for a 4-hour pay-per-view, you needed one more great match for it to really get up to that upper echelon. And we had a negative star match, and you had you know the Divas match, which wasn't very good. And the last hour is what really saved this pay-per-view. So there you go. Hope everyone had a good one. I will be back, hopefully at some point. I had, you know, YouTube's being stupid. That's why I had to do this as a direct cam. So when the sound is all funky, that's why it's funky. So just so everyone knows, because it won't let me upload anything. And I definitely want to do a Big Bang video probably tomorrow, and try to hype up, maybe get up, just even if I can just get 10 more people to buy it who wouldn't have bought it before, I'll feel like I accomplished something. So there we go. With that, I'm out. Have a good one.